Welcome back to Cozy Rosy Crochet. I am very excited to have you here today because today we are going to be learning how to crochet the arcade stitch and for us to get the next square made for the Hodgepodge Blanket Crochet Along. Now I absolutely love how the holes are created by working into the chain spaces with these big fans of 5 double crochets. You're going to fall in love with this square too because it works up quite quickly considering the number of stitches that you're going to be using. Now before we get started, don't forget of course to hit that subscribe button and of course the notification bell so that you never miss out on another one of my crochet tutorials again. If you'd like to view the written pattern, you can find that linked in the description box below, along with a link that will show you all the squares that are featured as they release in the Hodgepodge Blanket Crochet Along. So let's find out the materials that we need to make our arcade stitch square. So the materials that you're going to need to create your own arcade square is going to be any worsted or Aran weight yarn. I'm using my PaintBox Yarns Simply Aran in shade number 202, which is champagne white. This is a size 4 yarn and of course it is my favourite. It's in that budget range but actually really high quality acrylic yarn. I'm going to be using the corresponding hook size, which is a 5mm hook. I've got my Furls hook here, my absolute favourite. And you're going to need a darning needle and of course a pair of scissors just to snip those ends. So gather all of your materials and let's get started. So this pattern is worked in rows. So we're going to start by making a slip knot and placing that onto our hook, ready to make our starting chain. For our 8 by 8 inch square, we're going to start by making a chain of 31. So we yarn over and pull through to create our chain, and we need a total of 31. So make your chain and I'll meet you back in a moment. So once we have our chain of 31, we're going to start by making a US single crochet, which is a UK double crochet, in the 2nd and 3rd stitch. So we ignore that first chain here. I'm just going to work underneath that top loop, working 1 single crochet in the 2nd and another single crochet in the 3rd chain. We're then going to make a chain of 3. So we just yarn over and pull through 3 times. And we skip the next 3 chains, working 1 single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. This is the pattern that we're going to follow the whole way along to the last 2 chains. So we're going to make a chain of 3. We skip the next 3 chains. And then we work 1 single crochet into the next 3 chains. So continue to repeat that all the way along and I'll meet you at those last 2 chains. So once we've worked that last chain 3, we're going to, instead of skipping the 3 chains, we're just going to skip 2 and work 1 single crochet into each of the last 2 remaining chains. So at the end of row 1 you should have 5 chain 3 spaces and 16 single crochets. Going into round 2 we're going to chain 1. This does not count as a single crochet, and then so for that reason we're going to single crochet into the top of that first stitch, and then we're going to skip the next single crochet. Into this first chain 3 space, we're going to work 5 US double crochets. So we yarn over, insert the hook, yarn over, bring up that loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So this is the same as a UK treble crochet. And we're going to work 5 of these into the same chain 3 space. So we yarn over, bring up a loop, pull through 2, pull through 2. And each time we're inserting our hook into the same chain 3 space. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. From here we're going to skip the next single crochet and single crochet in the middle of these 3. So we're going into work 1 single crochet into the middle of that 3 and skip the next. We're back to the chain 3 space, so we're going to work 5 US double crochets, all into that same chain 3 space. That's number 3, 4 and 5. So already you can see that we're creating these lovely ovals that are seen in this beautiful arcade stitch. We're going to repeat this the whole way across, working 1 single crochet into the middle of those 3 single crochets from the previous row, and then working those 5 US double crochets into the chain 3 space. So continue to work all the way across, repeating that stitch pattern, and I will meet you at the end of row 2. So after working our last 5 double crochets into that chain 3 space, we're going to skip that first single crochet and just work 1 single crochet into the last stitch. I can get my hook through, there we go. So at the end of row 2, you're going to have 5 of these 5 double crochet fans with a single crochet in between. Going into row 3, we're going to work a chain of 3, 1, 2, 3, and this chain 3 counts as a single crochet and a chain 2. We're going to skip the first double crochet and then work 1 single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches, which is the 3 middle stitches of those 5 from the previous row. We then chain 3. We're skipping the next 3 stitches, so 1, 2, 3, and that brings us to the first of those middle stitches across the top of that fan. So we work 1 single crochet into each of one of those. We repeat that all the way across till we reach this point here, and that's where I'm going to meet you to finish off row 3. Going into row 4, we start with a chain of 3. Now this chain 3 does count as a double crochet, and then into this chain 2 space of the previous row, we're going to work 2 further double crochets. So it makes a cluster of 3 double crochets there. And then we're going to work 1 single crochet into, so we're going to skip 1 and work a single crochet into the next. That's that middle of that 3 again. And then we're going to work our 5 double crochets into the next chain 3 space. 3, 4, and number 5. Again, we're going to skip that next one and work 1 single crochet into that middle single crochet, skipping the next, ready to work our 5 double crochets into the next chain 3 space. We skip the next stitch and work 1 single crochet into the next. We have another chain 3 space, so in there we're going to place 5 double crochets. That's number 4 and number 5. We're going to work 1 single crochet, so we skip that one and work 1 single crochet into the middle one. We've got another chain 3 space, so we're going to work our 5 double crochets. Oops. And 5. We've reached this last section. I'm going to skip the next stitch, work 1 single crochet into the middle of those 3, and then into this final chain space here we're going to work 3 double crochets. So that balances out each end. We've got 3 on this end, 3 on this end, and 4 of the 5 double crochets. So going into row 5, we chain 1, which does not count as a single crochet. So we're going to single crochet into the top of that stitch, where the chain 1 just came out of, and then we're going to single crochet into the next stitch. We're going to skip 1, 2, 3, and that brings us to those middle 3 stitches again. So we need to make sure that we've worked our chain of 3, and then we skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and work one single crochet into the top of each of the next 3 stitches. Chain 3 and then skip 3. We're working 1 single crochet into the top of the next 3 stitches, and we repeat that all the way across. And we're going to work 1 single crochet into the next stitch and 1 single crochet into the top of that chain 3. And that's row 5 completed. So to continue this arcade stitch, we can repeat rows 2 to 5 until we have a total row count of 17. So we've done rows 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's number 5 we've just done. We want a total row count of 17, and then we're going to move on to our edging. So we're going to finish on this last row that we've done. So we've got that nice straight edge, and then we're ready to work our edging all the way around our square. So come back once you've completed your 17 rows, and I'll see you in a moment. So I've just worked my last repeat of round 5, and I now have a total of 17 rows, and I'm ready to move on to my edging. I hope that you are too. Now, like we've done with all the other edging so far in the Hodgepodge Blanket Crochet Along, we're going to start with a chain 1 before we work down the ends of these rows, and we're going to evenly place 24 single crochets working down into the ends of these rows. As always, I'm just checking that I'm not squishing my square and making it too short, making sure that I'm not skipping too many stitches, and just making sure that I've worked into each of the ends of these rows before we reach our first corner. So for me, my first corner is usually always where that slip knot is from our starting chain, and we're going to work 1 single crochet, a chain 1, and another single crochet. We're then going to work on the reverse of our starting chain, and actually we're going to do 26 single crochets across the bottom. So we're going to work 2 single crochets into each of these chain spaces, and then 1 in the bottom of each of these spaces too. So if you work all the way along, placing 2 single crochets into the chain 3 spaces that we skipped and 1 into each of these chains, you should have an end count of 26. So work along, and I'll meet you in the end ready for the corner. So I've just worked my last stitch, and I'm into the final chain of my bottom of the chain, and I'm just going to work my corner in here, and always that's going to be a single crochet, 1 chain 1, and another single crochet, and that allows us to turn, ready to work back up the other side of our square. Looking nice and neat. I really like these edges, they do kind of make a nice border. So continue to work 24 single crochets evenly across the end of these rows, and I'm going to meet you at the top ready to work that next corner, and then we're going to work along the top of that 17th row so we can work the final border, and then we can work our last corner. Just worked my last stitch, and then in this top one here I'm going to work that corner stitch, so 1 single crochet, chain 1, and another single crochet. I'm going to pull out my side of my square here just so we can make sure that I've put sufficient amount of stitches on there. It's looking good. We're ready to work across the top, and just as we did on the bottom, we're going to place 2 single crochets into each of these chain 3 spaces, and then work into each of the stitches too. So we've got that first stitch to work into, and then we're going to place 2 single crochets into these chain 3 spaces, and then work across the stitches. So work all the way along the top of row 17, and I'll meet you for our final corner. So I'm just reached my last stitch before I did my slip stitch, so I'm just going to work my chain 1 and my corner into that stitch there. Here's my first single crochet that I made. Just going to insert my hook and slip stitch to join that round. Grab my scissors. I'm happy with my border, by the way. I have had a quick look and make sure that it's all straight. Going to fasten off with quite a long tail, ready for weaving in. And there we are. There is our completed arcade stitch square. So thank you for joining me for completing your very own arcade stitch square. Of course, I want to see your finished square, so please feel free to tag me on social media. You can use the handle @CozyRosieUK or use the hashtag Hodgepodge Blanket Cal, C-A-L, and I'll be able to have a look at all of those images. You're welcome, of course, to come and join the Cozy Rosie crochet community if you're not in there already, so that we can all celebrate your success with each of these squares that you're completing. Now I'll be back with you tomorrow for another blanket square pattern. Can't wait to share this one with you. It's another quick and easy crocheted square, and it's just a stunner. So I'll see you again tomorrow, same time, same place. Until then, keep it cozy.